Firecast, a podcast from MDM Publishing, brought to you in association with Asia Pacific Fire magazine, focusing on disaster management, fire protection and the fire service.
Welcome to the latest Firecast, where we're again today looking towards AFAC26, powered by INTERSCHUTZ, returning to the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre for the first time since 2019. AFAC26, powered by INTERSCHUTZ, will be held from the 18th to the 21st of August and will explore the theme Leading Together, Integrity, Inclusion and Impact. The programme features a wide variety of content, including exhibition details, inspiring keynotes and invited speakers. AFAC26 will examine how transformational leadership grounded in integrity, equality and inclusion can shape the future of our industry. It will explore and celebrate how diverse voices and inclusive cultures foster innovation, strengthen social license and build community trust. As you'll hear in today's podcast, AFAC26 is proudly hosted by the Country Fire Authority, Fire Rescue Victoria, Emergency Management Victoria, Forest Fire Management Victoria, State Emergency Service Victoria and Tasmania Fire Service, with the extensive programme spanning 4 days, beginning with the AFAC Research and Innovation Day, followed by the multi-streamed 2-day AFAC Conference. The AFAC Conference will feature the Australian Disaster Resilience Conference, the Institution of Fire Engineers Australian National Conference and the Women and Firefighting Australasia Conference, running as concurrent streams of the conference programme. The conference will conclude with the Professional Development Programme, featuring educational workshops and field trips. The conference is supported by the INTERSCHUTZ Trade Exhibition, which will feature a variety of local and international exhibitors, occupying more than 15,000 square metres of floor space. The exhibition will showcase the latest products, technology, services and solutions to support best practice outcomes in the emergency management sector. Now, in this podcast, I'm Paul Hudson. I'm the host of the Firecasts, and this is the second of 2 podcasts ahead of AFAC26 after our previous guest, Melinda McDonald, CF, Senior Firefighter, Fire Rescue New South Wales and President of Women and Firefighting Australasia. Well, today we hear from Fire Rescue Commissioner Gavin Freeman, who has been Victorian State Response Controller since 2017. He's a certified strategic commander under AFAC's Emergency Management Professionalisation Scheme. He had a chat with Anne-Marie Faulkner, and she started by asking, what does it mean for Victoria to host AFAC26, and why is this an important moment for the state's emergency management sector?
We haven't hosted the AFAC conference since 2019, so it's really great to have it back in Melbourne and in Victoria. We have a range of agencies that are partnering to host this, and that just reinforces the way we work together every single day in protecting the community of Victoria. We're really honoured and proud to be able to get together and work together to be able to host it. We can take the opportunity to showcase our agencies in the state and the professionalism and the strength and diversity of the sector, and we get to do that on a national and international stage, so we're really looking forward to that. Victoria's probably no different to most places in the world where our operating environment becomes increasingly complex. We've got climate impacts, population growth, community expectations are changing and shifting, and that makes the fact that we need to work together and collaborate together across all agencies that much more important. So the conference will allow Victoria to share research, experiences, lessons we've learned from responding to a wide range of hazards, and also, of course, learning from our peers across other jurisdictions and across the world. So we're co-locating several specialist streams in the conference. We're partnering with Women in Firefighting Australia, with the Institute of Fire Engineers and the Australian Institute of Disaster Resilience, and that gives us the opportunity to highlight the strength of Victoria's integrated multidisciplinary approach to emergency management and disaster resilience.
What are you most looking forward to across this year's conference and exhibition program?
We've got an exciting program lined up across the days of the conference, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think the challenge is going to be for people to be able to spread themselves thin enough to be able to get across all of the interesting and dynamic speakers that we have. We'll start on the first day with Research Innovation Day, and then we go straight into the 2 days of the multi-streamed conference, which includes the Australian Disaster Resilience Conference, the Institution of Fire Engineers National Conference, and the Women in Firefighting Australasia Conference. So they're all concurrent streams of the program. I think one of the exciting parts as well are the range of keynote speakers we've got teed up. We have Professor Jenny George, who's Dean and Director of the Melbourne Business School, Craig Foster, a former Socceroo broadcaster. He's an adjunct professor, filmmaker and human rights activist. Distinguished Professor Christine Kenny, the Professor of Disaster Risk Reduction at Massey University. J.C. Gaylard, Professor of Geography at the University of Auckland. And Dr. Jorian Kipax, Emergency Doctor, 2026 Tasmania of the Year. So they're just some of our keynote speakers that I'm really looking forward to listening to. And the program also features a wide variety of presenters from across the sector, focusing on topics like risk preparedness, emerging technology, fuels and forecasting, managing disinformation, organisational change and complex challenges. In terms of the Research and Technology and Innovation Day, that obviously plays an important role in improving the services that we all provide. Utilising research in our practice reflects a learning culture and the openness to improvement. New technologies are providing new capability through artificial intelligence, robotics, uncrewed vehicles, and they also bring new risks to the first responder and community safety, such as alternative energies like lithium-ion batteries. People in communities are the heart of the work we do, and this will be a major focus of the conference program as well. It includes how we work with communities and looking to inclusive practices to build our capability, but also about the culture within our organisations. It's really important that we, as responding agencies, don't assume we know what the community want from us. We must work with them, to educate them on how they can mitigate and prevent their own emergencies, but also get a really good understanding of what they expect from us. Of course, ethical leadership, which is one of the main themes of the conference, is critical to the sector's ability to respond, adapt and improve. Conference program will examine this by exploring how strong values-based leadership supports effective decision-making and drives positive organisational change. This includes leading through complexity and uncertainty and supporting people through periods of change and shaping organisations that are agile, resilient and fit for the future. I think emergency services response agencies for many years have been rules-based organisations, and we know we need to shift to be values-led, values-based. And this conference will explore the journey that many agencies are on in that space.
What do you think the issues, the complexity and the concerns that mostly agencies across Australia and internationally are facing at the moment?
Yeah, look, I think we're all facing those complex and changing environments. I mentioned before climate change and concurrent hazards and concurrent emergencies occurring. And of course, community expectations are changing. The people that we serve expect us to be able to educate them, help them understand what they need to do and how they need to respond in emergency, but also expect us to be able to come along and help when they're having a particularly bad day. And hand in glove with that, I think, is the fact that all of us are struggling and competing for the dollar, for the money. And so budget's a real challenge for agencies as well, particularly in pretty tough times in Australia at the moment in terms of cost of living. So, we're funded from the community. That's why they have the right to expect good service from us. But also we need to make sure we're spending every dollar we've got in the most effective and efficient way we can.
And the impact of climate change, Commissioner, is significant. Can you talk a bit about that in relation to how emergency services structure themselves?
Yeah, look, climate change is obviously having an impact on the environment and the world we live in. We know that incidents are going longer. We know we're getting bushfires and floods at the same time in different parts of the state or different parts of the country. We know that these incidents are going to keep occurring and they'll go for longer. So there's more ask of our people, our volunteers and our staff. And look at AFAC26, what we'll do is examine the advances in fire behavioural science, fuel management practices and forecasting abilities. This includes understanding how landscapes, weather and climate interact to influence fire behaviour. and how data, modelling and intelligence can be translated into timely practical insights for operational and strategic use.
So why is it important, Commissioner, for people across fire and emergency services, particularly resilience, response and recovery agencies, to come together for an event like AFAC26?
Look, no emergency incident is the same as the last one. That's the first thing I'll say. But the challenges we face across the sector are not unique to one jurisdiction or one service. All of us work together in the system, and we all need to make sure we can learn from each other about the experiences that our colleagues and counterparts have had throughout the year and indeed the years before that. So coming together at AFAC, we hear from others across the emergency management continuum and find commonalities and share the solving of problems with a collective effort.
Commissioner, I understand in 2020 that Victorian Fire Services were reformed. Can you talk a little bit about the model, the service model that Victorians are the beneficiary of?
Yeah, fire services reform in Victoria, and it was enacted in 2020, has been generational change for us in Victoria. Very significant. What it did do was grab the career staff from the former Metropolitan Fire Brigade and the Country Fire Authority and bring them together under Fire Rescue Victoria and return the Country Fire Authority to a wholly volunteer community-based organisation. So we have still the two fire services, Fire Rescue Victoria serving the metropolitan areas and the major regional centres across Victoria, and the Country Fire Authority serving the country area of Victoria. But we do need to work very collaboratively, hand in glove, every single day. Our people are on the road every day, helping one another and working together. So part of the AFAC26 program will be focused on leadership, culture, community engagement and involving hazards, providing time and space to consider future risks and system-wide challenges beyond the day-to-day operations that impact us all.
Commissioner, obviously the conference is 4 days, upward of 5,000 people attending from year to year. What do you see are the key conversations you think the sector needs to have at this year's conference?
Look, it's an opportunity for us to learn so much from each other, to draw on each other's experiences and create opportunities to work together to take on like challenges that we might have. But we also need to be talking about transformational leadership. The leaders of fire and emergency services, whether they're career or volunteer, need to be able to inspire and motivate teams. Our leaders of the future need to be able to use emotional intelligence and empathy to build trust and enthusiasm and create safe spaces for teams to grow and innovate.
We note around the country that the emergency services are facing a political influence. How important is ethics and integrity in fire and emergency services now?
Look, we exist to serve the communities that rely on us and fund us. So we owe it to them to ensure that everything we do is underpinned by integrity. Our leadership needs to be underpinned by integrity and values, and we need to be having discussions about how we apply that ethics and integrity to all levels of decision-making. Also about utilising new technologies and AI, how that can create new challenges we must consider. Climate is changing, disasters are impacting communities more frequently and more intensely. We're experiencing tough economic times, and often governments are being called on to do more with less. So the discussion for us at AFAC26 is how we can all work together to help each other achieve better outcomes and how we continuously improve as an emergency management sector under all these emerging challenges. We'll find out what's new out there that can help us do our jobs better and what do we need to be doing now to future-proof our sector.
From a Victorian perspective, what the challenges or priorities are that make AFAC26 especially relevant right now?
Victoria is no different to the rest of Australasia and New Zealand, really, where we continue to experience complex, overlapping and cascading risks. We have bushfire, flood, heat events, severe weather and storm, and of course the fires that we experience in the built environment, making the way we prepare and coordinate much more critical and much more complex than ever. So I think AFAC26 offers us a really good opportunity for Victorian agencies to reflect on our recent operational experiences, share the lessons and contribute to the national conversations about what the sector needs to prepare for next and how we can leverage off each other with our shared expertise and shared knowledge and insights to be able to get better at what we do.
Can you talk a little bit about the bushfire response this summer and how the agencies work together?
Look, we've just come out of probably our busiest bushfire or summer season for a few years. And it really was, I think, the first test since the fire service reform about how we would work together. And it's really pleasing to say that our people just got on with the job. Our career staff, our volunteers worked seamlessly together to be able to protect the community from the prolonged bushfire events that we've just experienced. So while we can always learn and we must examine everything that we've done in the past to ensure that we've got it right for the future, by and large, the way that we responded and helped, and the community responded to us as well, which was really significant. They really did help us a lot by listening to the messaging and listening to what we needed of them. So, that I think we've come off a busy summer season, but it's been pretty successful, but you can never rest on your laurels, and we've always got to make sure that we continue to learn from it and improve.
So what would you like the broader emergency management sector to take away from AFAC26?
One of the key takeaways from these conferences, and AFAC26 will be no exception, is that it's about building relationship and connection across the sector, across Australia, across New Zealand, and indeed across the globe. And we can learn so much from each other. And a wise man once told me that 90% of our pre-incident planning is about the relationships you build beforehand. And as we're seeing these concurrent and multiple emergencies that we're experiencing now don't know borders. So more and more we're moving across borders in our own country and indeed across the globe to work together. So that relationship building is going to be really critical. But also it's so important to build and maintain trust with communities. And that's always going to be a priority for us. As our communities become more diverse, expectations around transparency continues to grow. And it's really important that we are as diverse in our thinking and in our actions as the communities that we serve. It's important to reflect on what's worked well and what doesn't, and so we continue to improve our processes to keep those communities safe.
For someone considering whether or not they attend the conference, what would you encourage them to gain from being in the room?
I think being able to take a little bit of a spell from daily duties and attend a conference such as AFAC26 really provides an opportunity for us to promote thinking and think about things a little bit differently, perhaps. Think about how we might work more closely together to deal with some of the challenges that we currently face. And of course, it's about innovation. This year's event combines the AFAC Conference, the Australian Disaster Resilience Conference, the Institution of Fire Engineers Australia National Conference, and Women in Firefighting Australasia Conference. Having all those four conferences together is a great networking opportunity that would be a shame for people to miss. So anyone that attends has access to all of those diverse and interesting streams and will just help, as I said, build connections, build relationships, and build our knowledge.
What do you think attendees can give back to the conference?
Yeah, look, it's a good point because it's not just about coming to the conference and listening, it's about contributing. So they can come with examples from their own town or their own state or territory or their own country about how they've taken on particular challenges, how they're building resilience in their community and responding to this evolving emergency management landscape that we're experiencing. The individuals come together to tell a national and global story about how our sector works and stimulate new ideas on the ways to improve that practice.
I understand from the Institute of Fire Engineers Conference is going to look at road and rail tunnel safety. What do you think AFAC26 can do in terms of exploring case studies like this?
Look, there will be a selection of case studies at AFAC26, and they're always a great learning tool because it's about real world, real time, real environment. And you mentioned the road and rails network. We have some new underground rail networks in Melbourne, and we're really proud of the work that our people have done to make them fire safe. And we're really looking forward to being able to showcase that to people that attend the conference and choose to go on that trip. But it's really about that exchange of knowledge through storytelling, the case studies, as I mentioned, and lessons that have been identified throughout the journey that different people have been on and different agencies have been on. That'll help us ultimately improve community safety, which is what it's all about.
Commissioner, how does AFAC, as the broader organisation, help connect frontline experience, leadership, research and technology in one place?
I think one of the strengths of AFAC26 is that four-streamed approach. So it's a very diverse program that caters to emergency management personnel in all kinds of roles. The multi-streamed event will have something for everyone in it and encourages collaboration across the jurisdiction. And of course, the trade show and exhibition is always a really big event as well, and there's so much to be learned about emerging technology and equipment and emerging approaches there. We, through AFAC conferences, intentionally attract emergency management personnel from across the sector, recognising that effective emergency management relies on all parts of the system working together. So the conference provides a rare opportunity for senior leaders, decision makers to hear directly from frontline staff, researchers and partners, and support informed leadership and strategic dialogue. AFAC26 will be a space for operational personnel to share their real-world experiences, their lessons and their challenges that they're facing across their various jurisdictions.
Are there any parts of the program, whether it be the exhibition or the broader event, that you think attendees should make a point of seeing?
We've got an outstanding list of keynote speakers, so I'd really encourage people to get to the keynote sessions on each day. And I'd encourage all the delegates attending AFAC26 to expand their thinking and consider attending concurrent sessions with either the Institution of Fire Engineers Australia, Women in Firefighting Australasia, or the Australian Disaster Resilience Conference. For those in research, academia, data analytics, science and technology, the AFAC Research and Innovation Day on the first day will explore how latest developments are transforming emergency response across the region and across the sector. The AFAC Research and Innovation Day will delve into the sector's cutting-edge ideas and groundbreaking science. The AFAC26 exhibition and trade show has become the must-attend event to the emergency management professionals who are involved in sourcing equipment and services for their agencies. The exhibition will feature the Resource Rescue Theatre, ADAR Knowledge Centre, the AFAC Solutions Theatre and a demonstration zone. And then the professional development program will feature interactive workshops and field trips that draw on Victoria's diverse landscapes and industry expertise. Attendees will expand their practical knowledge and operational skills actually in the field. And one example of that is Fire Rescue Victoria will be conducting a field trip through our newly operational underground rail network. And we're very proud of the work our people did with the developers of that project in able to incorporate state-of-the-art fire prevention and fire detection systems.
Given the challenges you've talked about, Commissioner, today, what role do events like the AFAC26 Conference and Exhibition play in helping the sector prepare for the future?
Look, events like AFAC26, I think, are critical in us preparing for the future because it brings the emergency management sector together to share that knowledge. And I've talked about the importance of strengthening relationships, and it shapes the future, really, of emergency management. We connect people across jurisdictions and networks, so that helps drive continuous improvement and collective capability across the sector. It doesn't just end at the end of AFAC week. People go back to their home agencies, their home jurisdictions, their home countries, and have made those lifelong connections that they can call on when they have a challenge that they might want to discuss. Through the AFAC conference, it will help translate research and innovation into practical insights and solutions that will help inform decision-making, inform our doctrine, training and our operational delivery.
In closing, what would you like potential attendees and, in fact, attendees to know about AFAC26?
Look, I think, first of all, we're hosting it in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, which is a fantastic city. A lot of things to enjoy and explore there outside of the conference days. If people wanted to stay on for a little bit longer at either end of the conference, I'd encourage you to do that. During the conference, of course, it's going to provide those opportunities for interagency, international engagement, collaboration, building those relationships that are so critical as we go forward with the challenges that are emerging and that we do face. And it's so critical also to have those relationships and connections during those large-scale or cross-border hazards. As we know, emergency incidents don't know borders of states, territories, countries. So we really are becoming more of a global sector and more mobile to help each other out, which is how we're going to be able to deal with the changing environment that we've got in front of us.
Fire Rescue Commissioner Gavin Freeman there chatting with Anne-Marie Faulkner, and I was particularly interested in his comments about how climate change is creating overlapping emergencies, with agencies increasingly dealing with bushfires, floods and severe weather all occurring at the same time, lasting longer and placing greater demands on staff and volunteers. AFAC26 will also hear how technology is both an opportunity and a risk. While AI, robotics and uncrewed vehicles can improve emergency response, new technologies and alternative energy sources, such as lithium-ion batteries, are creating fresh safety challenges. It'll also hear that emergency services are having to do more with less. Rising community expectations and growing risks are colliding with budget pressures, forcing agencies to find more efficient ways to deliver services while maintaining public trust. They'll talk about these and so much more at AFAC26 in Melbourne, so it's going to be another good one. An extensive programme over 4 days from the 18th to 21st of August 2026, exploring the theme Leading Together, Integrity, Inclusion and Impact. Your next step is to sign up. Go to afacconference.com.au to do so. I'm Paul Hutton. Thanks for listening to this Firecast, and we'll talk again soon.
Firecast is produced and presented by Paul Hutton and is an MDM Publishing podcast in association with Asia Pacific Fire magazine.